Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because we cover all the biggest NFL news and analysis. Today we're diving into something that doesn't always make headlines but affects every single game you watch: the playing surface. The NFL just announced major changes coming to every stadium in the league, and this is actually a pretty big deal for player safety. We're talking new standards, testing equipment that sounds like it came straight out of a sci-fi movie, and a 3-year timeline to get every field up to code. Let's break down what this means for the players, the teams, and honestly, the quality of football we're going to see moving forward. So first, let's talk about why this matters. For years, players have been vocal about field conditions, especially at certain stadiums. Remember all those complaints about MetLife Stadium? Players from around the league have called out that turf as dangerous, saying it's sticky and causes more injuries. And it's not just MetLife. We've seen games where guys are slipping all over the place, cleats getting caught in turf, and honestly some fields that just look terrible on TV. You'd think with how much money flows through the NFL, every stadium would have pristine conditions, but that hasn't been the case. The debate between natural grass and artificial turf has been going on forever. Players overwhelmingly prefer grass. The NFLPA has been pushing for grass-only fields for years. But stadiums with multi-purpose use or domes often rely on synthetic surfaces for practical reasons. What we haven't had until now is a unified standard that applies to every stadium, regardless of whether they use grass or turf. That's what's changing. Here's what the NFL is rolling out. By 2028, every single NFL stadium has to meet new enhanced field standards. These aren't just guidelines, they're requirements backed by actual lab testing and field measurements. Before the 2026 season kicks off, each team is going to receive what the NFL is calling a library of approved and accredited fields. Think of it like a catalog of surfaces that have passed the testing. If a team wants to install a new field, it has to come from that approved list. And teams have 2 years from 2026 to bring their existing fields up to standard. Nick Pappas, who's a field director for the NFL, described it as a red-yellow-green effect. Basically, they're trying to phase out the fields that testing shows are less ideal and bring in newer, safer options that meet the criteria. What's really interesting is how they're testing these fields. The NFL is using 2 main tools, and the names alone tell you this is serious. The first one is called BEAST, which stands for, well, it's a traction testing device that actually replicates the movements of an NFL player. It measures how much grip a field provides and whether cleats can get caught or release properly. The second tool is called the Strike Impact Tester, which measures how firm the field is. Too hard and you get more impact injuries. Too soft and players can't cut properly. These devices help determine the Goldilocks zone for field surfaces. Both grass and artificial turf have to meet these standards, which is important. The NFL isn't picking sides in the grass versus turf debate. They're saying whatever you choose, it has to perform at a certain level. Here's something that might surprise you. Most artificial turf gets replaced every 2 to 3 years. That's actually pretty frequent when you think about the cost involved. But natural grass? That can have an even shorter lifespan. Pappas mentioned that grass fields are often replaced multiple times during a single season. Think about that. A stadium might completely redo their grass surface 2, 3, maybe 4 times between September and January. Weather, wear and tear from games, and just the beating these fields take from 300-pound athletes moving at full speed means constant maintenance. The goal with these new standards is consistency. Not just consistency across all 30 stadiums, but consistency throughout the season at each individual stadium. So the field in Week 1 should perform similarly to the field in Week 17, and the field in Buffalo should perform similarly to the field in Miami, even if one's grass and one's turf. Now here's where things get a bit controversial. The NFL's chief medical officer, Dr. Alan Sills, came out and said that their data shows no statistically significant differences in lower extremity injuries or concussions based on the type of playing surface. Let that sink in for a second. Despite what many players believe and say publicly, the league's position is that grass versus turf doesn't show a measurable difference in injury rates. Dr. Sills pointed out that surfaces are just one factor in a complex equation. Player load, meaning how many snaps they've played, previous injury history, fatigue, position, and even the type of cleats worn all contribute to injury risk. The surface matters, but it's not the only thing that matters. This is going to be a tough sell for a lot of players who swear they feel a difference. The eye test tells us something's up when we see guys slipping on certain fields or when multiple players go down with non-contact injuries on the same surface. But the NFL is saying their comprehensive data doesn't back up surface type as the primary culprit. What the league is focusing on instead is field quality and consistency, regardless of type. A well-maintained turf field that meets the new standards might actually be safer than a poorly maintained grass field, and vice versa. So what happens next? Teams have until 2028 to comply, which means over the next 3 years, we're going to see field upgrades across the league. Some stadiums might switch from turf to grass, others might upgrade to newer turf technology, and some might stick with grass but improve their maintenance and replacement schedules. The approved field library that teams receive in 2026 is going to be crucial. That's when we'll really see what options are available and what direction teams choose to go. One cool detail, the natural grass field for this year's Super Bowl at Levi's Stadium has been growing at a sod farm a couple hours east of the Bay Area. That's the level of planning that goes into these major events, and ideally, that level of care is what we'll see become standard across the league. The Joint Committee with the NFLPA means players have input in this process, which is important. Even if the league and players disagree on grass versus turf, having player representatives involved in setting safety standards is a step in the right direction. Look, at the end of the day, anything that makes the game safer for players is a positive development. Whether you think the NFL should mandate grass fields or you believe modern turf technology is just as good, having actual standards backed by testing is better than what we've had. The key pillars the NFL mentioned, optimized playability, reduced injury risk, and player feedback, those should be the focus. If the new testing shows a field isn't performing well, it needs to be upgraded or replaced. Period. It'll be interesting to see which teams make changes before they're required to. Some organizations will be proactive, while others will wait until the last possible moment. And we'll definitely be paying attention to whether these changes correlate with any measurable improvements in player safety. What do you think about these new standards? Should the NFL just mandate grass fields like players want, or is this data-driven approach the right call? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this breakdown helpful, smash that like button and subscribe for more NFL analysis and news. We've got a ton of content coming as we head into the playoffs, and you won't want to miss it. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.